in the what lurks in the shadows. It reminds us that the quest for truth often lies in the stories we tell.
Unmoving even in the blizzard. A man's shape, but bent wrong at the knees. Henry swore it had fur, swore it spoke his name. Henry, a young scout, vanished soon after. His boot prints led away from camp, followed by clawed bipedal tracks. He was never found, but the next night, something returned, wearing his tattered coat. It stood beyond the reach of the fire, steam rising from its breath, and let out a shriek so full of hunger that mothers wept and children hid beneath blankets. Some say it was one of their own, lost to madness and starvation. Others believe the hunger of that mountain seeped into the souls of the dying and changed them. To this day, campers near Donner Pass report strange sounds in the night, long, low howls that echo down from the snowy ridges. And sometimes, just before dawn, boot prints appear in fresh snow, side by side with claw marks. The Skinwalker of Mono Lake, 1853. Mono Lake, its waters briny and strange, has always carried an eerie quiet. In the spring of 1853, a group of silver prospectors made camp near its shore, eager to exploit the mineral-rich earth. They were warned by a local Paiute elder to avoid the caves near the western cliffs. The elder called it the Land of the Lost Faces. They laughed him off. One night, around the fire, the men discovered an ancient cave etched with faded red ochre figures. A central image showed a towering creature, half man, half wolf, with 6 limbs and a vertical mouth that split its chest. That night, the mimicry began. It started small, hearing a companion's voice just out of sight, only to find no one there. Then came the scratches, long gouges in tree bark, always in threes. By the 4th night, 2 men were gone. No blood, just their boots, sitting neatly side by side, and drag marks leading into the dark. Only one man, a trapper named Levi, survived. He staggered into a trading post weeks later, mumbling of a creature that walked on 2 legs, wore their voices like masks, and carved symbols into the earth with bone claws. Levi's account ended with this line: "It wore Joseph's face, but the eyes were all wrong." To this day, those who camp near Mono Lake claim they hear their names whispered in the wind. And in the silence of pre-dawn, some wake to find symbols carved into the ground around their tent. The Beast of Body, 1876. Body, California, a gold rush boomtown nestled in the Sierra Highlands, was once a place of greed and grit. But in 1876, after a series of child disappearances, fear overtook fortune. They blamed wolves at first, then vagrants. But when the McAllister twins vanished from their beds, door locked from the inside, people started whispering of the beast. Eli Crane, a reclusive trapper, swore he'd seen it. A tall, dog-headed thing with matted fur, wearing the remnants of a miner's coat. It stood upright in the middle of the street at midnight, just staring at the church steeple. One woman, a saloon girl named Mags, told the preacher it had spoken to her. Not with words, but images inside her head, of hunger, bone, and blood. A posse went into the woods. Only one came back, glassy-eyed, and missing his tongue. Soon after, the town began to empty. Body became a ghost town, but visitors say it's not empty. People claim they see figures watching from the ruins. At night, strange howls echo down the canyon, and in the old church, claw marks gouge the floorboards circling the altar. Local legend says the beast is still there, waiting for the town to rise again, so it can feed. The Lost Patrol of Bear Valley, 1912. In 1912, a small U.S. cavalry patrol was sent into Bear Valley to investigate reports of missing fur trappers. 9 men entered the pass. None returned. Weeks later, a search party found their camp torn apart, tents shredded, horses missing, and a journal beneath a blood-streaked saddlebag. The final pages, written by Sergeant Hawthorne, describe increasing tension among the soldiers, paranoia, nightmares, and then the sightings. Private Mallory spoke of a beast in the woods, said it stared at him in the night and whispered through the snow. He wept as he slept. We found claw marks on his chest the next morning under his coat. Soon after, Mallory attacked another soldier and fled into the woods on all fours. The patrol tried to track him, but found only hoof prints, followed by clawed, upright ones. The journal ends with a chilling line. "We are not alone. The mountain has eyes, and they do not blink." Some say the lost patrol never died, that they joined the creature in the snow, shedding their skins, becoming part of the forest's curse. Campers today report hearing gunshots in the valley, old-style rifles, and strange human howls that rise with the wind. The Dogman of Deadman's Gulch, 1891. Deadman's Gulch earned its name early, but it was in 1891 that it truly became cursed. A mining village thriving on gold and whiskey suddenly went silent. A supply wagon found the town deserted. Tables were set for meals, fire still crackled in the hearths, but no people, only claw marks and blood. Pinned to the saloon door was a dog-headed totem, carved from bone. The walls of the church were smeared with handprints, some human, some not. A prospector's journal found in a hidden cellar described their discovery of a buried shrine while digging a new shaft. Symbols older than the tribes, statues of creatures half human, half beast, and a warning chiseled in stone: "Do not call them." They called them anyway. The journal's final entry: "They walk upright now. They know our names." No one lives in Dead Man's Gulch anymore, but if you camp near it, locals say, "Don't speak after dark. Don't answer if you hear your name. And if you hear something breathing just beyond the tree line, run. Don't look back."
One. The Thing on Mount Hood, Oregon, 2020. In late autumn of 2020, a solo hiker posted a long account to a regional outdoors forum. He had started before sunrise. The forest was quiet, too quiet. About 3 miles into the trail, he heard something pacing him, not crashing, not stumbling, matching, step, step, step. All was just out of view behind dense fir trees. He stopped. The steps stopped. He moved again. So did it. Then came what he described as a wet exhale from somewhere above the trail. Not ahead, not behind. Above. He glanced uphill and saw what he called a mass of dark hair crouched between 2 trees, not bear-shaped, too tall, the shoulders too wide. It didn't charge, it didn't run, it stood up and stepped back into the fog. When he returned home, he realized something unsettling. His pacing companion had never once stepped on a twig. 2. The Lake Crescent Pale Crawler, Washington, 2021. In summer 2021, campers near Lake Crescent reported something moving along the shoreline after midnight. One account described a shape illuminated by moonlight. It wasn't tall. It was wrong, pale, hairless, limbs too long for its torso. It crawled, but not like an animal. Its elbows bent outward, its spine arched too sharply. When one camper shined a flashlight toward it, the beam caught eyeshine. Not reflective like a deer, flat, wide, forward-facing. The thing froze. Then, with unnatural speed, it slid into the tree line, not running upright but folding into itself and vanishing between roots and driftwood. The group packed up before sunrise. They said the forest never made night sounds again after it appeared. No insects, no frogs, nothing. 3. The Colville Forest Whistler, Washington, 2022. Hunters in the Colville National Forest shared a story in late 2022 that spread quickly through local forums. They heard whistling, not random notes, patterns, 3 short bursts, pause too long. It echoed through dense timber. At first they assumed another hunting party was nearby, but no one answered when they called out. Then the whistling changed. It mimicked one of the hunter's own signals. Exactly, same rhythm, same pitch. From deeper in the forest, they packed up fast. As they left, one hunter claimed he saw something impossibly tall step between 2 trees about 50 yards out. He described it as impossibly thin, elongated arms hanging past its knees, and when it turned sideways, it seemed to flatten, almost disappearing against the trunks. The whistling followed them all the way back to their truck, never closer, never farther, just keeping pace. 4. The Oregon Dunes Shadow Mass, 2023. In 2023, a group of ATV riders near the Oregon Dunes reported something crossing the sand at night. The dunes were open, windswept, nothing to hide behind. Yet one rider swore he saw a shadow detached from any body move across the ridge. It wasn't cast by light. There was no object creating it. It simply slid over the crest, tall, vertical, almost human-shaped. When they stopped their engines, the air felt heavier. The shadow remained at the top of the dune, still, watching. Then it split. 2 shapes now, then 3. And then they sank into the sand, not burrowing, but dissolving. The riders later reviewed helmet footage. Nothing appeared on camera, but the audio captured something strange, a low-frequency vibration, almost like distant chanting beneath the wind. 5. The Cascade Goatman Encounter, 2024. In early 2024, a couple hiking in the North Cascades shared a disturbing story. They had gone off trail briefly. That's when they heard hooves, slow, measured. But there were no mountain goats in that section of the forest. Then they smelled it. Rot, wet fur, something metallic. The trees ahead parted just slightly, and there it stood, tall, humanoid, but the legs bent backward at the knee, its head tilted unnaturally as if studying them. They described antler-like shapes, not branching like deer, but jagged, broken. It didn't approach. It knocked on a tree, once. The sound echoed deeper than wood should allow. They ran. Behind them the hooves followed, not sprinting, just walking, keeping distance. When they reached the trailhead, they realized something chilling. The sun had barely moved, but they had been running for nearly an hour. 6. The Black Elk of Olympic Peninsula, 2025. The most recent story surfaced in early 2025. A wildlife photographer camping alone near the Olympic Peninsula claimed to see an elk unlike any other. Massive, jet black, antlers sprawling wider than any known Roosevelt elk. But it stood wrong, too upright at the shoulders. And when it turned its head, its eyes weren't prey-like. They were forward-facing, watching, assessing. The photographer slowly raised his camera. The elk opened its mouth, and instead of a bugle, it released something almost human. A strained, breathy imitation of speech. One word. Leave. He did. Later, reviewing his photos, he found something strange. Every image showed the forest clearly, but where the elk stood, there was only distortion, as if the air itself refused to record it. Closing. Between 2020 and 2025, reports across the Pacific Northwest shared patterns. Creatures pacing humans without being seen, mimicry, elongated limbs, silence in the forest before appearance, and vanishing without physical trace. No bodies, no clear footage, just stories. And in the Pacific Northwest, where forests stretch for miles without roads, where fog clings to treetops and sound carries strangely through old-growth timber, the line between misidentification and something unknown feels thin, very thin, because sometimes the woods don't just feel empty, they feel occupied. And whether these sightings were tricks of light, fear amplified by isolation, or something that still moves between the trees, the reports keep coming, and the forests remain, watching,